Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video, we'll be talking about Hacienda Napoles, Pablo Escobar's famous estate. Please remember to like and subscribe. Now let's get right into it. Fact 1. Piper PA-18 Super Cub. Pablo Escobar was an aviation enthusiast. He had an airplane that looked similar like this, the Piper PA-18. In fact, he liked it so much that this model aircraft is adorned on top of his gate to the Hacienda Napoles. Of course, the airplane on top of the gate is a replica, but it is actually a full-size replica. It's probably missing the engine and the interior seats and avionics, but it shows how Pablo Escobar really loved flying. And in fact, as we'll get into the next few sections, he loves flying so much that Hacienda Napoles has its own airport. We'll get into it in a little bit, so stay tight. Now let's get into the next fact. Fact 2. Colombian hippos. Pablo Escobar was also a big fan of exotic animals. He had a private zoo at Hacienda Napoles, consisted of exotic animals like lions, tigers, zebras, and hippos. Pablo Escobar imported 4 hippos from Africa, 3 females and 1 male. I think he intended for these hippos to propagate and multiply, and they surely did. In fact, in Hacienda Napoles, there are so many hippos that they become an invasive species because they're not a naturally occurring native animal in Colombia. Some of the hippos have escaped Hacienda Napoles and started multiplying in the rivers and lakes around the estate. There are over 100 such animals, all stemming from the 4 hippos that Pablo Escobar brought over from Africa. Within the Hacienda Napoles itself, there's estimated 60 hippos living still on the estate. The Colombian authorities don't want to kill them, but also feel like they are a huge nuisance and is disrupting the ecosystem around them. There are plans to remove the feral hippos outside the hacienda to zoos around the world. Alright, let's get into the next fact. Fact 3. Airstrip. As I mentioned in the first section, Pablo Escobar loved aviation. And his estate, because he had so much money that he can do whatever he wanted, he actually built a private airstrip on his estate. This meant that he could be traveling in other parts of the world, and when he wants to come back to his Hacienda Napoles, all he had to do was fly his airplane to the airstrip that is privately owned by him. The airstrip is able to accommodate such single-engine propeller planes such as the Piper PA-18, and Pablo Escobar used it extensively to get to and from his estate. I think it's so incredible that he has so much money that he could build his own airport. And if you think about it, that is the very exclusive status that people strive to have their own airport so that when they land, they're at home. They don't need another leg of journey to travel on the public roads back to home. Pablo Escobar could land his airplane, walk out, and go straight into his estate. Alright, let's get into the next fact. Fact 4. Racetrack. Pablo Escobar was also a huge fan of cars. In his Hacienda Napoles estate, it is famous for all the classic and exotic cars that he kept on the estate. He was an avid car collector and collected many high-performance vehicles of his time. And because he likes racing and cars so much, he actually built a Formula 1 racetrack on the estate. Of course, he doesn't actually use Formula Race 1 cars, and rumor is that he used go-karts to compete. But I think it's still incredible that there's a private racetrack on the estate on top of the airstrip that we just talked about. There's also a man-made lake, so I could imagine he has boats too, And that brings me to my point that in his Hacienda Napoles, Pablo Escobar had air, land, and sea fully covered. On any given day, he could choose to race his race cars on a racetrack or fly his plane using his private airstrip or race around in boats in his private lake. It is truly a hacienda of many activities and themes. His wealth must have been so great that he could achieve all this and have a private environment for all types of vehicles. Alright, let's get to the next and final fact. Theme park. When Pablo Escobar was killed by the Colombian authorities, the Colombian authorities took over the Hacienda Napoles. Of course, they couldn't maintain it the way Pablo Escobar did because that would cost millions and millions of taxpayer money. And so the plan that they had was to continue portions of the estate as an amusement park, water park actually. And so currently in the Hacienda Napoles, you can visit it as a tourist. And there's a water park and a dinosaur park for people to peruse and check out. The zoo and the hippos that we're mentioning unfortunately are not being able to maintain because it just costs too much. However, tourists to this area can absolutely experience Pablo Escobar's estate as a theme park that the Colombian authorities created. And I think it's a good use of the estate because it would be such a shame for it to completely go derelict and be destructed. Alright, that's it for my video today. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. See you next time.